Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're having an absolutely amazing day. So in today's video, I'm actually going to teach you how to move in COD Mobile, and you're probably thinking, hey, I already do that all the time. That's how I actually play the game. But you're not doing it properly, and in today's video, I'm actually going to teach you 4 different ways to peek, and I'm also going to teach you 5 different types of ADS movement, and then I'm going to teach you 2 different types of escapes. Alright, so the first method of peeking I'm actually going to go over is called jiggle peeking, and you might have heard of it before. It's when you go around the corner, get really close to it, peek out for probably less than half a second, just so you can see the whole general area in front of you, and then move back behind the wall. And if they do see you, they're probably going to shoot at you, and you're going to be able to have a good view. They're not going to be able to kill you in half a second, so it's a really safe way of peeking. Now you can also use jiggle peeking to peek a sniper, so you jiggle peek for half a second, they shoot their bullet, and then they have to recock the gun so you can just slide out and kill them. So it's really good for baiting out bullets, and it's good for scouting an area without being killed. Now this does take some practice, because if you peek out too far for too long, there's a chance you could die and you'd just be throwing away your life. So just practice it for a little, because I guarantee it's going to be super important in scrims. Now another method of peeking that I don't use as often, I used to use it a lot in critical ops, it's where you wide peek, so you walk around really slowly around a corner pretty far back and peek them this way that your head is smaller and your whole body is smaller since you're farther away, and also you're probably going to see them before they see you because you're not as close to the corner. You'll see what I mean in the clip that I play. Wide peeking is especially good if you have a sniper or an assault rifle. I would not really recommend it with a SMG. I would recommend jiggle peeking for that. So on to the third method of peeking, probably the most popular but also the most dangerous, is jump peeking. So you just sprint around a corner, pretty much jump before you even hit the corner, because if you jump right on the corner on their screen, of course the game is a little bit laggy. You probably notice you get hit through walls a lot. So if you don't jump before you actually cross their line of sight, it'll just show you running on the ground for like half a second. So you need to jump before they can actually see you, so when you do appear on their screen, you're going to be in the air and a lot harder to hit. So for the fourth and final peeking method, it's actually slide peeking, and I really do like this method of peeking because it's really hard to hit someone when they're crouched and sliding. They're just moving really fast and they're not at the right height that you would expect a player to be peeking an angle at. Now I wouldn't recommend slide peeking if you're peeking someone far away, because you can't actually zoom in when you're sliding. So jump peeking is actually a little bit better if they're at a distance, because you can zoom in while you're jumping. Let's say for example, if you're entering a building and it's a really small room, and you know there's probably someone like right to your left. As soon as you enter, you're sliding before you even enter, and you're coming around that corner, you're going to be too fast for them to pretty much ADS. So you're going to be able to hopefully screw their ADS up, because you guys know how much you have to drag your finger to actually lock onto someone. So you're going to screw that up, and you're most likely going to get the kill. So that's when I recommend using slide peeking. So now moving on to ADS movement, and if you don't know what ADS means, it means aim down sight. So that's when you have either your iron sight or your red dot sight aim down. This is not hip firing. So for my first method of ADS movement, and the one I use the most by far, is jump shotting. So as soon as I start a gunfight with someone, if I'm using SMG, which I'm using 90% of the time, I'm gonna jump immediately because I feel like it screws up their aim. And when you're jumping, it's also easier to control recoil because you're looking downwards, and recoil always tries to go upwards. Also, it's easier to get headshots because you're jumping up in the air and your red dot sight moves up a little bit, so it's more centered on their center of mass or their head. My second form of movement when you're aim down sight is actually bunny hopping, and it kind of goes along with the normal jumping, but instead of just doing one at the start of the fight, I spam it as much as I possibly can during the fight. And you can see me do this in some of my past scrim gameplays, especially if I'm using the AKS, because it has really good movement while aim down sights. I also use it sometimes with the MSMC. I wouldn't recommend doing any of these jump shots with a assault rifle, because it just screws up its spread and you're gonna miss some more shots than you would if you weren't jumping. Next is a drop shot, and I actually do need to practice a little bit. It's becoming more stylish after this new update, because in the old update you couldn't really crouch as well. As you probably noticed, it was really hard to crouch. Well, in this new update, I'm seeing a ton of pros actually drop shot. So as soon as you see someone, you hold the crouch button so that you drop to the floor as quick as possible, and it just screws up their aim. And I think it also gives you a better aim. Like I said, I don't really use it that much. It just mainly used for screwing up your opponent's aim and getting that kill. So the next movement that I have is actually the slide cancel, and most people don't actually use this, which is really weird. I don't think it's as widely known. It's when you slide, but halfway through it, you actually zoom in, so it cancels the slide and you just pull up really fast. and you can lock onto your target quicker than if you just completed the slide. The next is, you probably actually do this subconsciously, but you should just try to focus on doing it a little bit more. When you're aim down sight, you can do this with an assault rifle too. If you have stock, you can't really move with an assault rifle, you don't have stock on, but anyways, you just move back and forth with your weapon, go from right to left, and you just move your body as much as possible when you're firing instead of standing still, because if you're standing still, you're an easier target to hit and you're probably going to die. Now this is a lot easier to do with SMGs, but you can pretty much do it with every weapon. If you're not doing this yet, it's pretty basic and you definitely should be. Now I'm going to go over 2 methods of escape that I normally use and a lot of pros use. So when you're getting hit and you do not see them first, it's not a good idea to challenge, of course. So a lot of the time you just want to slide behind the nearest object that you see. So as soon as you get hit, your first reaction should be just to slide and get into cover. Now a lot of people actually either run in this situation, of course, because that's the logical thing to do. You got hit first, you're down on health. But some people I know, especially one of my teammates named Veg, normally when he gets hit, he actually slides behind something and you don't expect him to, so you unscope, but he jumps around this corner, scoped in, and pretty much gets the kill because you're not expecting him to challenge, especially when he's low. And it works a lot of the time, but you can't do it consistently because there is sometimes you're actually going to die doing that. You could, if you wanted, instead of jump peeking them again, you could slide, get away, and then slide back out and kill them. Just depends. You gotta really, all this escaping requires is just IQ and game sense. So that's pretty much the whole video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to include as much examples as I possibly could. Really, to get better at movement, all it takes is just playing the game as much as possible. Of course, I would recommend using claw, like I say in most of my tips videos. It's going to help you so much more than I can possibly explain. Anyways guys, I'll see you guys next time.